So Clinton, we're here in Hales Owen at Sandvik. Now I haven't been here, I don't know, 7, 8 years maybe?
Yeah, even longer for me. So I remember this site when it was significantly bigger. It was Sandvik's headquarters. You'd got a lot of on-site steel storage. You've got a lot of on-site manufacturing. You've got sales. You've got admin. You've got marketing. It was a huge site. But obviously 4 or 5 years ago, the company made a strategic decision. Reduce the footprint, go green, go sustainable. It's significantly smaller, but they're still focused on the core. They're still focused on the sales, the admin, the marketing team that's here. There's a productivity side, productivity centre we're going to go to. But I've also still got the special projects team here. But yeah, what an impressive
It is really impressive, actually.
Yeah.
The productivity centre is where we're going to talk about the application, the partnership between Vericut and Sandvik. You mentioning about the sustainability. I was talking to one of the gentlemen here today. He said they're generating 50% of their power consumption is coming through their solar energy, and they're aiming to be net zero by 2050.
Yeah, some ambitious goals. So they've definitely got the focus on renewable energy sources. So there's obviously solar here. You drive into the car park, there's EV parking bays all over the place. They're harvesting the natural rainwater here and using that in the sanitary devices. So, you know, it's ambitious targets, but they're confident they're going to get there.
And I mentioned about the partnership between Vericut and Sandvik. This productivity centre, is that what they call it?
Yep.
The Prod Centre is where they work with their partners in order to, I guess, assess projects, generate potential savings for customers and look at new strategies, isn't it?
Absolutely. Obviously, their core business is Sandvik Coromant is developing manufacturing cutting tools. It's carbide. And that's an industry that has seen huge innovations over recent years, and it doesn't stop. They're continuing to explore new tool geometries, new tool ranges, new coatings, etc. And of course, having access to some pretty amazing CNC machinery that we're going to see in a moment gives them that opportunity to literally cut their teeth, pardon the pun, and experiment with these tools to get the very best out of them, whilst also working in collaboration with their end customers to allow them to get the best out of their cutting tools. And that really fits nicely with why we're here, you know, with the Vericut guys, to talk about the importance of verification, optimization, and in here as well, post-processing.
Let's go do it.
Let's do it.
So this is the Prod Centre.
Yep.
And here we got the DMG Mori 5-axis machine. There is also another technology in this centre as well. Now the part in question, which is actually something I've become really familiar with recently in various jobs that I've been doing, looking at the machining of blisks. Now I know this is a really challenging application to get right, isn't it? And I want to talk about these 3 areas that you mentioned. So we'll start with the verification, then we'll talk about the optimization, you know, getting the best of the part, and then of course how you get it all from the CAM system into the machine. So verification, Clinton, what's the problems that you're going to face?
Yeah, so when you look at a blisk, and here's a segment of, not this blisk, it's a different blisk, but a blisk, little fact for you, the word blisk is a bladed disc. So, you know, it's a fabricated word, it's a fabricated part. But bladed discs, by definition, are a solid piece of material, nickel alloy, titanium, with some rather exotic geometries on them. And as you can see for the part that's on the machine, these blades tend to radiate outwards from a central axis. Now, generally speaking, when you machine these blades, there's different strategies to use. You're either machining from the tip, which is the configuration we've got here, or you're machining side entry, coming in from the side of the part. This particular part...
So the difference between a horizontal and a vertical 5-axis, I suppose.
Kind of, yeah. Now this particular part, because we're machining the blade's tip entry, as you can see on the machine now, you're having to tip the table up to allow you to get the tool aligned with the tip of the blade, which creates a problem. And that is that you can see the rotary table, the big round table at the back there, is projected right up. So as the spindle comes down to engage the tool into the workpiece, you can imagine there's a high likelihood of collisions happening between the spindle
like
and the table. Yeah.
So like this point at the back of the table here to the side of the spindle.
Exactly. So the geometry naturally forces the machine into a heightened risk of collision.
But I suppose though, Clinton, looking at that, we talk about this sort of collision area. From my perspective, with the amount of products in the DMG Mori portfolio, you know, you wouldn't necessarily go for a machine with that big a table, would you, if you were doing bliss? You'd have something smaller, which reduces that risk.
Yeah, I mean, if all you were doing was manufacturing that blisk in that material, you probably wouldn't have this standard table on the machine. You know, DMG Mori and other machine builders like them have a range of table options. And in an extreme case, you would go for a machine with a bespoke table solution. So, you know, in this case, what you're seeing is an off-the-shelf machine, a brilliant machine, an off-the-shelf machine being used to make a really complex part. And in this case, with that sort of geometry, there is a risk of collision, which is the whole reason you verify your G-code in your NC file. It doesn't matter how good the machine is, how intelligent it is, you as a programmer can still put it in a situation where there is a risk of a collision. But at the same time, you've got 5-axis geometry, or geometry that really has to be machined with 5-axis machining. And because it's a nickel alloy, it's a difficult material to cut, you're going to have to cut this with coolant, high pressure coolant, not just a dribble of coolant, high pressure coolant to deal with the challenges. So you combine the geometry of the part, the exotic nature of the material, and that it's 5-axis machining. We've got some footage of this part cutting earlier on today. It's just a blur of coolant. You can't see what the machine is doing. Therefore, you can't, as an operator, be stood here with a hand over the feed rate override button just in case it gets close to a collision. What that means is, when you press cycle start on this machine to run your G-code, it's got to be collision-free. And that's the point of verification. With software like Vericut, verification within Vericut allows you to check things like collisions between the spindle, the table, the workpiece, the in-process stock, the fixturing, the individual components of the cutting tool. But you're not just checking for collisions, which you know they can be disastrous. You smash this machine, tens of thousands of pounds worth of repair bill, weeks, months potentially waiting for the machine to be brought online. All that is lost production, damaging your reputation as a manufacturer. It's a disaster. But there's also other soft issues that we need to verify. What if the machine over travels? You've run this program and it's got halfway through the cut and it hits a soft limit. You're going to have to stop that machine, unwind it, go back to the CAM programmer, figure out what's gone wrong. Wasted time. Even if you get through your machining cycle, how do you know that there are no gouges on it? How do you know that there's no stock left unmachined on it that's going to have to be processed by a later operation? All of these things are what keep engineers awake at night, and verification finds all of those and fixes them.
And I suppose with a machine of this sophistication, the capabilities and the speed and all of those things make it even more difficult to assess, don't they?
Yeah, 100%.
Ultimately, you want a machine of this style and this configuration and this speed and this quality to provide the surface finishes and the accuracy, but all of those things add to potentially to the worries to make sure it is verified.
It's a heightened reward. Do this well, very lucrative business.
Yeah.
But the risk is equally as high. Yeah. This is not a cheap machine. Yeah. And if you have a bump on it, the consequences there in terms of cost, time, damaging your reputation can be disastrous. But it's you do it right, you can be really, really successful.
And talking about doing it right then, going on to the optimization, again, I would say that a machine of this nature, through its own natural performance, is going to deliver reductions in cycle times, high performance machining, a quality part quickly. Yeah. But you can go one step further then. This is what Vericut are saying.
So these parts, all right, we're talking about this blisk, but this applies to all parts. Even a simple 2-axis machining part, the whole spectrum. Generally speaking, you're using CAM software to program those parts. CAM software, and I'm from that background, I know CAM software, but when it comes to the feed rate that the CAM software outputs, generally speaking, it's a compromise. It's a constant feed rate, feed per tooth, linear feed rate, RPM, all of that is a compromise based on the worst case. So you know that machining this part or any other part, there is a risk where the tool will engage in an area where there's a spike in the load in the tool. Spikes in tool load generally manifest as chipping the tool, worst case, breaking the tool. So think of it as a cutting tool has an optimum window of performance where too slow, the tool is going to be rubbing, which is not very good for the tool, it just burns out. It's not a cut, it's a rub. Too fast, you overload the tool, you end up chipping the tool or worst case breaking it. So you want the tool chip thickness to effectively be within that sweet spot. Most CAM software, unless you're really, really smart, outputs like an average feed rate, which means it's going to be too slow in some areas, affecting productivity, too fast in other areas, heightened risk of a failure. And so what Vericut Optimizer does, which is this new product that the Vericut team have launched, or Vericut Force, if you happen to be using Vericut already, is it analyses the chip thickness and it modulates the feed and speed to have a more consistent chip thickness. It gets rid of those inefficiencies, it gets rid of those hazards, recognises spikes in feed rate, which can be a problem as well, and just smooths it all out.
I spoke to Paul Lugden earlier, and someone always people say to you it's a win-win, and he kept using that term, and people do, and sometimes you take it with a pinch of salt, and you think, okay, but actually he said that by using the optimizer, it does actually generate a win-win, because it does reduce the cycle time, certainly on harder materials like we're looking at here. But also it increases the tool life and the machine's life. So you're getting a faster part, or part of faster, but you're also getting greater tool life and better longevity potentially on your machine as a result of this. So that is what is a win-win, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Most people would think, I want to use this
some compromise
to
somewhere.
speed things up.
Yeah,
and it does, right?
Yeah.
It speeds up all of those areas where the tool could be cutting quicker. They all add up. That reduces cycle time. But as I said before, if you've gone for an average feed rate, just because of that one spike where a tool enters into a corner and you hear it on a machine, it's like a nasty, the operators around you, they flinch because they know that there's a shock load on the tool. Verification and optimization gets rid of that one spike, which avoids excess tool wear, which avoids premature tool failure. But it's combining all of that together to lift the feed rate up across the board, but lower it where it's hazardous.
Yeah.
So the net effect is prolonging the tool life and shortening cycle times. It's the holy trinity of those two things.
Well,
really.
the other interesting point was the energy savings. Now I'm talking to Scott in Sweden. They use a lot of DMG Mori machines, and they actually practice what we're talking about in production. And I think he said that they're saving 3,000 hours per machine or something, per year.
Yeah.
As a result of Optimizer. I mean, that's unbelievable. That's astonishing.
Yeah. It's easy to think about time. It's easy to think about the cost of carbide and like burning through tools and the cost of regrinds, etc. But you have to take a step back from that. And as we discovered in earlier videos, if you shorten your cycle time, if you use less time, less energy, energy costs money.
Yeah.
And particularly right now, the cost of domestic electricity bills is going up. Well, that same increase affects manufacturers as well, probably more so.
Yeah.
So, these guys invested in solar panels to drive the factory. That's one way of making real material savings. An easy way is just make better use of your machines. Shorten your cycle times. They're burning through less energy.
And I think the advancement in the machine tool technology and the software side is really, you put those two together, that's where you're starting to now see these astronomical changes and the involvement of manufacturing in this space.
And partnerships are a big thing, and they've been around. This is not new. Partnerships have been a big thing for as long as I can remember. But when you bring together OEMs in this space like Sandvik, like DMG Mori, like the Vericut guys, and make them work together, the benefits are greater than the sum of the parts.